Hi there. In this video we'll be covering what does it mean to self-publish a book. Self-publishing is all about you, the author, calling the shots. And it has tons of upside. For the longest time there was this stigma around self-publishing that it was a little bit less than, but you know what? That stigma's changing. By the end of this video you will learn the power of guiding your own book forward, how to find experts to unlock your message, and why a book can open so many doors for you. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. What does it mean to self-publish a book? It means you're in charge. It means you're guiding the process forward. And it ultimately means that you get to say yes to everything. That you're the person that gets the final sign-off. When you work on a traditionally published book, one by, we'll say a popular publisher, there's so much gatekeeping involved. There's so many things that you don't have control over. They might give you 2 cover options and say, choose which one. What if you don't like them? You don't really have any choice from that. The title is something they decide. You might give them options. You might ultimately give them the one they choose, but they might have other ideas in mind. When it gets published, I've had books that were slated for release at a certain time and then they get pushed back. And it's like, come on, I thought the book was coming out here. It's not. There's so many things that can change during the process that you don't have much control over, and it's scary. It's scary not to have that control once you've spent all this time on this book. Yes, there's upside to having the visibility and the promotional machine behind traditional publishing, but there's a lot of gatekeeping too. I've pitched projects with putting together a book proposal and working with literary agents where they just reject projects. And I know that if I had a bigger platform, they'd say yes to them. If I had more social media followers, they'd say yes. It's frustrating because I know the book is a good book, but they're not seeing the sales potential. And traditional publishing is more likely than not, more often than not, about sales opportunities. If you have the ability to sell lots of copies of your book, a publisher is going to be more inclined to say yes to you. But at the same time, it's limiting. And there's a reason why more and more traditionally published authors are going to self-publishing now. It's because they get to keep more of the profits themselves. They get more ownership of the whole process. If more often than not, publishers today are focused on authors selling copies of their book and getting the author's machine, the author's social media, the author's email list, the author's platform behind book sales as the driver of book sales, why can't you just do that yourself? You already have the built-in mechanism to sell copies of your book. Why do you need a traditional publisher? You probably don't. The one benefit to traditional publishing is that they cover the cost of editing, design work, and maybe even some promotion, whereas if you self-publish, you then have to pay out of pocket for those things. So there's a balance in store. Ultimately, you need to know that this is going to be worth it, that you're paying money that's going to be worthwhile to you, and that you're working with people who you trust. When you work with a publisher, they're going to work with people that are trusted, vetted. They should be pretty good. I hope they are. If they're not, that's a bigger problem. At the same time, when you self-publish, you need to do those things yourself. And if you don't do those things, you could publish a book that's not quite ready, doesn't resonate the right way, that the message isn't as clear for the reader. So you can publish a book that isn't as good if you don't work with the right people. So this isn't about finding an editor or a designer on Upwork and Fiverr and just, choosing the first person you find. It's about working with people you trust, working with people with book experience, working with people that know what they're doing. Ultimately you want to work with high quality professionals. When I think about hiring high quality professionals, I consider myself one of them, but when thinking about where to find these high quality professionals, 2 places I would often look are LinkedIn and Reedsy.com. Both of these platforms have super high quality, super successful professionals on them. You want to work with people who have book experience because they're going to unlock the power of your message in ways that other people won't be able to. When I got into book ghostwriting and book editing 6-7 years ago, I'd come from the newsroom. I'd worked in some of the biggest newsrooms in the country. I worked in New York City newsrooms, and I realized pretty quickly that I really didn't know the first thing about book writing. I knew how to write words I knew how to put them in chapters. But there's all these other things that you need to think about with book writing that you don't think about with other forms of writing. So you want to work with professionals that are going to know those things, that are going to help you unlock value within your book, opportunities within your book, greatness within your book. And that means taking the time to do it right. I think back to some of the books that I've worked on that haven't quite connected, didn't quite resonate. And it's often because people wanted to cut corners and jump ahead. It's so easy today to put together a book with ChatGPT or AI text, junk it up and put it on Amazon. What impact is that going to have? Probably limited, probably not a great impact. You want to spend the time to do it right, because by doing it right, you're going to have a higher percentage likelihood of having a book that resonates. That's a sales magnet for years to come. That's a lead magnet for years to come. That's going to create opportunities and greatness within you. But if you rush and cut corners and jump ahead and just put out a book that's not fully baked, probably not. One of the biggest benefits of self-publishing is that you get to choose where your book gets sold and where it appears. If that's on your website, if that's on Amazon, if that's on other platforms, you get to make those choices yourself. It's not up for your publisher to make those choices. It's up to you. If you want to use your book for bulk buy opportunities, for speaking engagements, you can do that. You don't have to worry about a publisher's approval. You don't have to worry about sign-off from anybody. If you want to put them on your website at reduced cost, you can do that. You can do whatever you want. When you are self-publishing, you can do whatever you want with your book. You don't have to jump through hoops or worry about your publisher or what they want you to do with it. It's all on you. Self-published books are an awesome lead magnet. There's so much opportunity that can come through that, especially if you have high-value services and offerings that connect to your book's message. I've worked with people who've generated six-figure revenue from a book we finished 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And it's so special to see the message resonating and carrying forward, that they can continue to use this book as a lead magnet to attract customers, clients, people to want to work with them and spend lots of money to work with them for years to come. There's so much power in books, and when you self-publish, you get to wield that power yourself. It's such an awesome opportunity to be able to publish the book that you want to publish, to put it where you want to put it, and to use it in the ways that you need it to be used. You have that control, and you don't need anybody else's approval, anybody else's sign-off. You get to do it. But at the same time, again, don't rush, don't cut corners. Work with people who know what they're doing. If you take the time to get it right and really work with high-quality people, good things are going to happen. If you want to learn more about what does it mean to self-publish a book, you'll definitely want to watch another video I recorded. I'll link to it on the screen. It's called What Are the First Steps in Writing a Book? In that video, I really tap into the purpose in book writing. And I also tap into book foundation work and the power it can have when completing it before you even write a single word of your book. All the stuff that you need to do before you write anything that's going to help you on your way. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.